Hey guys, JB here from Alpha Wolf Consulting, coming to you today with the next session in the Alpha Wolf Personal Development and Expansion series. So this session is going to be all about understanding how to curate language patterns and narratives of empowerment. So curating new language patterns, new narratives that empower us to be able to be, do, and have whatever we want in life. So it's an important thing to understand when we are curating our language patterns and our narratives. There is no difference between a language pattern and a narrative. They are the exact same thing. They are just two ways of explaining the same thing. A language pattern is a sequence of words. A narrative is a sequence of words. So we understand the importance of our words and how our words are structured. But when we are understanding the empowerment action, well, we don't just want to talk for the sake of talking. Do you sort of get it? The words themselves, the language patterns, the narratives we create mean nothing without associated meaning. So without the associated meaning, they have no power. Should I say the sky is blue and the pancakes are yellow and blah, 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 blah? Like it doesn't mean anything. So what we understand is for the empowerment aspect of our language patterns, of the narratives that we say, it is important to understand the meaning that we internally give to it. So if I create a disempowering language pattern of you're not good enough, like what does that mean? I'll never be good enough? Does it mean I'm worthless? Does it mean this? Does it mean that? So we understand that it's the meaning that adds the power to the words we say internally. We're not talking about external, okay? Whenever, when it comes to personal development, it's the most important aspect of personal development. We are never talking about the external, for it only exists in the internal. Okay, so it's really important for us to not get up our own ass and think that we're talking about the external. So we understand that the associated meaning to anything that I say internally to myself determines whether it's positive or negative, whether it is associated or triggers positive emotions or negative emotions. Because why do we want to have a narrative of empowerment if it is not to trigger a positive emotional state? Do you sort of get it? So it's really important because from what I've seen in life, online, with other people, is we have this idea that the words we say and the words we speak are these mighty, magnificent, powerful things with, my words have the ability to destroy other people. They do. They do. Because my words imply meaning. So it's the associated meaning to the words you hear me say that will dictate either positive or negative responses subconsciously, not consciously. So we understand this, that when we are creating internal narratives, when we are creating language patterns and all of this, it's all about the associated meaning that those language patterns and those narratives trigger. So we understand a language pattern, a narrative, is simply a sequence that triggers an associated meaning to that language pattern or multiple associated meanings, which alter and shift our emotional states of being, which alter and shift our biochemical responses. So we understand in life when I say that I want to speak empowerment into my life, what am I looking for? Am I looking to say pretty words to myself so that I can, boost my ego and all of this? Or am I looking to alter and shift my emotional states and as a result, my biochemical responses? Like, what do we want in life? Do I want to look good in life or do I want to feel good in life? Do I want my life to look good to everyone around it, like a poser? Or do I want to feel good about every aspect of my life? This is the most important question to ask yourself when doing any personal development. Do I want to look like I'm a complete whole individual and this perfect being, or do I want to feel that way? If I want to feel that way, then what I seek in life is the biochemical responses, is the altering and shifting of my, you know, my chemicals in my brain, and we call them biochemicals because they're not artificially created. They're created by biology. Do you sort of get it? Biochemical. So we understand it's the chemical shifts and alterations within my brain that I am seeking. That's it. With everything I do about personal development, this is the end goal. Do you sort of get it? Why do I want to release trauma? So that I don't have negative associations to the biochemical responses, so that I'm not in fear-based mindset, always releasing high levels of stress and cortisol. Like, do you sort of get it? Like, it's so funny because it's so simple yet so complex. Why is it complex? Because we create illusions and lie to ourselves that the words I say, I have to speak certain words, otherwise my life is going to be in ruins. Do you sort of get it? Like a lot of people, and I'm not saying that they're wrong, but they believe manifestation is about altering and shifting the external environment. That if I focus on what I want in life and I imagine it, it'll just show up in my life. Like, do you sort of get it? When we're manifesting, we're activating the reticular activation gland so that what happens is what I want in life, when it shows up in my external environment, I'm able to identify it as what I'm seeking. It's not that I'm calling it into my life, it already exists in my life. Should I be trying to manifest love and the love of my life? There are people out there that are the love of my life already. I'm not creating this person out of thin air. And this is what's so funny about manifesting because I've heard so much and I don't doubt that these people are right. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no right or wrong. If someone says that manifesting is creating things out of thin air and calling things into being, who knows? They could be right. They could be wrong. It doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. Why? Because whatever you believe, you create. Do you sort of get it? If I believe that manifesting is something external to me, it becomes external to me. If I believe manifesting is something internal to me, it becomes internal to me. The illusion that they create is that they're able to alter and shift the external environment, which is not true. By me trying to manifest the sky being green, the sky will never be green. I can try and convince myself that that's what will happen, and I will waste my life sitting there trying to convince myself that I can turn the sky green just by believing it's going to turn green. Who knows? I haven't tried it. So I don't know if it's possible, but I highly doubt it. Because if you think about this, imagine we were all on a plane together, okay? And I sat in the front seat of the plane, not the pilot, but the front seat, and I tried to manifest that plane crashing. Like, do I have any power over someone else who doesn't want that plane to crash? Do you sort of get it? I don't have control over it, but I have control over my internal state of being. So that's an important thing to understand is we're not trying to create narratives and create these language patterns to influence the external environment. I influence the internal environment, and as a byproduct, my external environment shifts, changes, alters, reshapes, reconstitutes, reforms. Why? Because of my perception. It's not that the external environment has changed. I have just changed what I notice in my external environment. So it's an important thing to understand. We don't control the external environment. We only control the internal environment. Do you sort of get it? It's really important to get because if I'm trying and believing that my thoughts will change the external environment, how fucking egotistical of a person am I? Do you sort of get it? That I am above other people, that I can alter and shift reality for everyone else. Do you sort of get it? So, what we understand is everything that we seek in life is already there. It's just we don't notice it. It's outside of our perception. And our perception is linked to the language and the narratives and the associated meaning and the emotional states and the biochemical responses. Should I feel ecstatic and joyous in life, do you not think people will be more attracted to me and want to be around me? And that I look more successful to other people? So when I'm trying to manifest success in my own life, do you not think it's important for me to become success within myself? Do you sort of get it? The external environment is a reflection of the internal environment. It is not dictated by the internal environment, i.e., I do not dictate with my thoughts that everyone else is going to see me successful, but I don't have to change my inner self, my internal state of being. Do you sort of get it? It's fucking idiotic. And this is what majority of people believe manifestation is, which is really funny. That my internal thoughts, I don't have to work on myself. I just have to focus on the external environment. Like, does that not sound like trying to take a shortcut in life? Trying to avoid the work? Should I want to be ecstatically happy and successful in my own life? Like, how am I going to do that without doing it internally? Do you sort of get it? So we understand whatever language you want to use, whatever narratives you want to create, don't mean shit. It's the emotions, it's the associated meaning. Do you sort of get it? If I associate through meaning negative outcomes and negative experiences I've had to positive language, do you honestly believe that positive language is going to not make me feel negative? Do you sort of get it? Like it doesn't matter. I can be as positive as I want, but if I'm associating negative meaning, I'm going to create negative emotional states of being, which as a byproduct will create negative biochemical responses of stress. Do you sort of get it? Like I can be as pompous as I want and as up my own ass that I am this and that. But if I am associating negative meaning to any words that I say, how is that ever going to have a different outcome than me becoming emotionally feeling negative. Okay, so when we think about it like this, okay, when it comes to the emotions, there are no positive and there are no negative emotions. If I believe negative emotions are positive, they become positive to me. If I believe positive emotions are negative, they become negative to me. Whatever I believe as being reality is reality within my internal state of being. Do you understand? This is why a lot of people, i.e., get offended at other people's beliefs, that other people believe different to them, and then they get offended. Do you sort of get it? Why do they get offended? Because they associate those beliefs as being negative. So negative emotions are sort of experienced, and the negative meaning is associated to those beliefs. And what is a belief? A belief is a thought on repeat, a language pattern, a narrative. Other people being offended by you is being offended by the language you use and the narratives you create within yourself. That's it. And we're not talking about if I come up and I start tearing you down and calling you a piece of shit and all of this. That's different. Okay. If you get offended by me doing that, that is you getting offended by my behavior. Because when I speak, it becomes behavior, not a narrative. Narratives are internal to us. When I speak a narrative, it is an action, a behavior. So when I speak negatively to you, it ceases to be the narrative that I'm saying, and now it's the behavior or the action that I am taking. You sort of get it? So we understand action and behavior is our link between the internal and the external states of being. Okay? So my internal states of being are my thoughts, narratives, emotion, meaning, my biochemical responses. And the biochemical response is like, for example, I can say I feel happy, but unless I get the serotonin rush, I don't physically feel happy. The biochemical response is the physical sensation within our body and our brain. Does it sort of make sense? So we understand the language we want to create. If I believe it is positive, it is positive. Now, that's not to say, should I sit there and tear myself down and call myself a piece of shit and try and act like that's positive? Like, that's not going to be positive. Because, like, if I want to be a piece of shit in life, and I want to create that language of saying I'm a piece of shit as being positive, I can. But to the majority of people, we already have associated meaning to specific language. So we have what we call positive and negative language. It doesn't mean it's arbitrarily positive or negative, it's just language. But we have arbitrary meaning to it. So if I come up to you and say you're a fucking piece of shit, we all associate that as being negative language or negative behavior, negative action. Do you sort of get it? So we can reprogram that, but we don't want to reprogram that because then that's going against the grain, so to speak. So if I'm using negative language against myself and convincing myself that it's positive language with the associated meaning, I can alter my emotional state, but it's going to be an argument with everyone trying to convince them that it's positive. So we also understand that different sounds and language and words we say hold frequency. Some frequencies naturally make us feel positive and light. Some frequencies naturally make us feel negative. Then we also understand tonality. Some tones we use naturally make us feel positive and naturally make us feel negative. And when I say naturally, this is just conditioned. So it doesn't mean that, there's positive and negative language and positive and negative frequencies. It's just I've been conditioned to believe someone saying you are good enough is positive. I've been conditioned to believe through society that someone saying you're a piece of shit equals negative. If I had never heard those words before, they would hold no meaning. Do you sort of get it? So we can sit there and try and be the exception and try and convince ourselves and create everything against the grain if we want, but it's kind of stupid. Like, work smarter, not harder. Like, why try and change the negative associations and positive associations of the meaning of words to society? Do you sort of get it? I have to then go out and convince everyone that saying you're a piece of shit means a positive thing. It's kind of stupid. So, like, we can see it in culture, for example. Look at teenagers and how they talk to each other. Do you sort of get it? Not to say that like there's anything right about how they talk to each other, but in adolescent culture, because negative words in terms of swear words and things like that are seen as taboo, they try to associate them positively. So they'll go, "Oh, you're a fucking idiot, mate. Oh, I'm only joking." But they don't understand the implications of tonality and things like that. So they're still developing. So they try and do this. This is why we can see that, like, for example, in adolescent culture, that there's a lot of sort of unhappiness because teenagers are emotionally unstable because they're only just developing and learning how to understand their emotions. Like, majority of 20-year-olds, majority of 30-year-olds, majority of 40-year-olds, majority of 50-year-olds are still trying to learn how to understand their emotions. But the thing is it's something new, so they try to trend it and create pop culture with it. So, like, for example, we can see it in movies with sex and things like that, how, when it comes to, teenager and early adolescent or early adult movies that are targeted at early adults, well, they're going to have a lot more sort of gratuitous sex scenes. They're going to have a lot more like things like that. Like we see the culture in, partying and drinking and all of this. Like, do you sort of get it? Like an easy way to understand this is OnlyFans. Look at that culture, look at the people who use it, and look at them trying to go that, prostitution is positive body image. Do you sort of get it? Like it's basically prostitution. Like everyone's trying to be a porn star now that's young because they can make money on it. Like, does it mean it's positive? Does it mean it's negative? Well, when we take actions against our own inner value and our own self-worth and things like that, it degrades who we are. Trust me. I speak from experience. When I was that age, I was exactly the same. Many of you were probably exactly the same. Do you sort of get it? Like, these aren't new things. These are developmental stages where when we become early adults, we sort of have this over sexualization because it's something that is highly taboo. Do you sort of get it? So we understand that while our negative is not arbitrarily positive or negative, and it is up to individual interpretation, there is also collective interpretation. So, like, we have to understand developmental years. For example, we don't develop in isolation. So, a lot of our core values that we develop as children and young adults are rooted in social norms or society. Do you know what I mean? They're based out of where we gather information. So a lot of people gather information through TV, movies, through social interactions, through schooling, through community, and all of this. So we understand our sort of like our core values of who we are as a person uh, tend to be a mixture of social, community, societal, all of this, cultural sort of norms. So we understand that when it comes to language, when it comes to negative or positive association, a lot of our understandings around what we believe as being positive and what we believe as being negative are rooted in these areas of society. They're rooted in our culture. They're rooted in our communities. They're rooted in our social interactions. They're rooted in our societal interactions, in what society believes. So it's very important that we're not trying to go against the grain and retrain our brain to sort of think that up is down and down is up. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's very important because we can do that if we want to, but it's not going to, like, it's not something that's easy because we're fighting the 10 or 12 developmental years that we had. Oh, well, probably closer to 14 to 18 to 20 years it takes us to develop these beliefs and things like that, and these core values and what we think of as understanding as positive or negative. Like, for example, take a toddler. you know when children hit that age of two, so to speak, it's called the terrible twos. They don't understand violence, they don't understand anger, they don't understand behavior. So to them, if they act out and bite another child, they don't understand what they did, they don't understand hurting. Like, do you sort of get it? Like it's sort of, to them it's not positive or negative behavior, they're reacting to impulses. So to say to that child, this is bad behavior, they don't understand what it means. It takes years to develop and understand hurting people is not positive. Do you sort of get it? Like, look back in the 90s. Violence in the 90s was a lot more socially accepted. Fighting was a lot more socially accepted than today. People have a much more or a much stronger reaction to violence today than they did in the 90s and the 80s and all of that. Like, do you sort of understand? Like, our societal norms and our societal beliefs have shifted and altered to where if we behave how we behaved in the 90s with the violence and the fighting and all of this, like, it's less socially accepted. Do you sort of get it? So, like, we understand this aspect of life and society and creating, who we want to be in this life and the life we want to have, that a lot of it will be dictated upon by our already conditioned behaviors. And should I want to alter and change it? So, like, for example, I grew up in the 90s thinking that violence was okay. Do you sort of get it? Like, I still think violence is okay. Logically, I know it's not okay, but it doesn't make sense to me. Why wouldn't you put someone's head through a wall if they annoy you? Like, do you sort of get it? Like, why wouldn't you just start punching someone if they take something from you? If someone tries to hit on your girlfriend, why wouldn't you fight them and beat the shit out of them? Do you sort of get it? If someone steals from you, why wouldn't you take their two front teeth? Do you know what I mean? Like, because it's not acceptable in today's society. So it's this important understanding that should we not want to sort of be controlled by our conditioning that we've had throughout developmental years, it means we need to reprogram it. So when we're curating the narratives and the language patterns, this is what we are doing. We are curating in the new beliefs, the new meaning, the new emotions. So, like, for example, when I was growing up, fighting was something that was fun. Violence was something that was fun. I had to reprogram in that violence was not fun. Do you sort of get it? Like, it doesn't mean I've succeeded at the moment. I still think violence is fun. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think roughhousing and throwing people through cupboards is fun. Like, I think wrestling, and testing yourself against other people is fun. Do you sort of get it? But it's not that I go out there and throw people through cupboards and jump on people's back and choke them out and all of this and whatever. Like, do you sort of get it? So when we want to create the identity or this ideal of who we want to be in this life, we can either let our environment condition us, i.e., how we all were as children, susceptible to peers, to peer pressure, susceptible to other people's beliefs and things like that, you know, not understanding that we validate ourselves and always trying to validate ourselves externally from our environment, or we can take control and do it ourselves. So we understand the whole purpose of this and the whole purpose of, understanding how to curate our internal narratives and language patterns. What we are seeking is to shift and alter at the end goal our biochemical responses and our behaviors and actions, because that's essentially what influences the external environment. Do you know what I mean? So it's a process that I alter and shape the language, which triggers specific meaning, i.e., I alter and shape violence is bad. And then I change the meaning to I don't like hurting people. And what that does is alters my emotions to make me feel bad should I hurt someone. And that alters my biochemical responses to make me feel, emotionally and physically to feel, not pleasurable, so that I'm not getting serotonin and dopamine every time I hurt people. Now, should I go and do that backwards way? And let's say I wanted to, increase my violence, increase my aggression, and all of that. Violence is a way of life. The meaning to that, you know, I have to be willing to fight people and hurt people. Like, hurting people is a good thing. That's the meaning. And then the emotion is, well, the meaning also would be that fighting is fun and exciting. Do you sort of get it? And then the emotion that's released is excitement, is enjoyment. I enjoy hurting other people. And then the biochemical response is I feel high amounts of serotonin and dopamine every time I hurt people. So, what does that do? That leads me to take actions where I hurt other people because I'm seeking that serotonin and dopamine response. Do you sort of get it? Like it's the sequence of the structure or the process from the language we use to the associated meaning, to the emotional response, to the biochemical response, which influences our behavior. Because our behavior is always pleasure seeking, so to speak. So, whatever I think is enjoyable, naturally I'll move to it. Whatever I think is unenjoyable or I don't enjoy, naturally I won't want to move to it. It's sort of like if I don't like, you know, the conversation with someone, if I don't like someone, like I wouldn't go out there and intentionally speak with them. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like if I didn't like mathematics, like I'm not going to go there and practice mathematics every day because naturally it's not somewhere I want to be. So we understand our behaviors and our actions are a direct reflection of what we want in life. Should I want instant gratification? And, should I condition myself to always give in to my compulsive nature of, my wants and needs in life and all of that? Like, and I go and I get in a relationship. Do you think I'm going to be, you know, a loyal person in that relationship if all I'm thinking about is what I want, what I need, instant gratification? I can have that now. Do you sort of get it? So we understand what really makes it feel aligned to us is our core values. Our core values in life are the things that we truly want and enjoy in life. I.e., one of my core values are in many ways based around honor. I enjoy being honorable. I enjoy honor. Do you sort of get it? Like, given the choice to tyrannically oppress someone else or fight in outnumbered in a no-win scenario for honor, like for me, it's always going to be the no-win scenario because it's more enjoyable. I enjoy fighting for honor. Do you sort of get it? I don't enjoy fighting to oppress people. Do you know what I mean? So our core values are what we truly want and like in life. And the more aligned we become to them with our words, okay, so our language, our meaning, our associate, our emotional states and our biochemical states and our behaviors and our actions, the more we feel at peace with ourselves and happy about who we are. So it's very important to understand this, that we naturally move towards what we want in life. It's not to say that we can't move towards what we don't want in life. Trust me, I lived my entire life up until a few years ago, living a life I hated that made me depressed and made me hate myself. Do you sort of get it? Like the relationships I got into, I was attracted to people who hated who I was because I hated who I was. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you sort of get it? Like, I've lived that life. I know that life. I know why I lived that life. So we understand we can lie to ourselves, create illusions that I'm with this person because of this, because of that. But truly, the people I was with was because they hated me. They hated who I was as a person. They could not stand me. Why? Because I was conditioned my whole life that no one could stand me, that people didn't like who I was. I was led to believe who I was wrong. And this led me to always seek out those who thought who I was wrong. It's a funny thing. It led me to be highly depressed, highly anxious, to never feeling good enough, to always seeking out those who talked down to me, who tore me down, because that's all I knew in life. Do you sort of get it? It's a funny thing because when we understand this and we realize that happiness in life, fulfillment in life, whatever you seek in life, is literally just doing what feels right to you. That's it. That's all. Fuck the success, fuck the money, fuck the other people's opinions, fuck all their bullshit, fuck society. If you do what makes you feel authentically happy, you become happy. Do you sort of get it? If you want to be with the dream person, find someone who authentically wants to be with you. They're your dream person. Stop creating illusions like I did that they had to be a certain way. Do you sort of get it? It's a funny thing because once we click over to that action of I only want to be around people who want to be around me. I only want to do things that I enjoy. I only want to feel good in my life. So I'm only going to take actions that make me feel good. Do you know what the result is? I feel good. I'm around people who want to be around me. All the drama and the conflict in my life evaporates. And the funny thing is, I don't need a fucking car. I don't need a fucking house. I don't need fucking money. I don't need a fucking, successful career. I don't need fucking fame. I don't need fucking this. I don't need fucking that. Do you sort of get it? I can be, do, and have whatever I want in any fucking moment when I stop the bullshit excuses to why I need things. When I stop lying to myself and just understand what makes me happy, what doesn't make me happy, what do I want in life, what are my core values. Do you sort of get it? It's a funny thing because it's so simple, but if you try to dictate what it has to look like, it becomes so complex. When I start to say my ideal partner has to look this way, how hard is it to find that person that aligns with you? Do you sort of get it? Like, all it is just dropping the bullshit lies. Like, do you know, if you want to be successful in life, just drop the excuses. That's it. Brian Tracy wrote this amazing book, No More Excuses, or whatever it is. Like, if you just stop like telling yourself bullshit lies about why you can't have what you want and just go for what you want regardless and not care about the outcome, like you already have it. Do you sort of get it? So many people create traps in their mind about why they can't succeed, why they can't get what they want, because they need the external validation to validate that they've taken the right actions. It's why I don't give a fuck if anyone shows up or no one shows up, if anyone watches this or no one watches this, because I watch it and I enjoy it. So fuck everyone else. I don't really care. Do you sort of get it? Like, I enjoy speaking on this information. I enjoy writing these courses. I enjoy creating this content, and I don't give a fuck if anyone else cares or not. It doesn't matter. Because if I do what I enjoy in life, I am happy in life. I am successful in life. I have already created everything. Who the fuck cares if I make money, if I don't make money? Do you sort of get it? Like, it doesn't really matter. But I can sit there and create all these illusions that I have to get a certain amount of views for a video to be successful. I have to do this, I have to do that. Like, do you sort of get it? It's just fucking bullshit. I have to earn this amount of money so I can buy these fucking stupid clothes, so I can buy these cars, so that I can buy all the little comforts, so that I can appease myself because I'm too afraid to do what I want to do in life. Freedom isn't found in money. Freedom is found in just doing what the fuck you want to do in life and not giving a fuck about what any other fucking idiot thinks. And like I always say, if they want to, for example, if they want to try and impose their beliefs on me, we can always sort it out with a knife fight. Do you sort of get it? Like, majority of people's beliefs evaporate once the way forward is a knife fight to the death. Do you sort of get it? Like, most people won't sit there and try and tell me how it has to be if we're doing it over a knife fight. Do you sort of get it? It's a funny thing. But that's the important thing, is that, like, it doesn't really matter. Who the fuck cares? Do you sort of get it? Like, their care for how it has to be is their weakness. Because unless it looks exactly like they want it to look, i.e., unless the content people create resonates with their audience and blah, 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 like, do you sort of get it? They don't feel good about the content that they write, so they won't write it. And then they alter and shift their content to appease everyone else. It's so funny because the majority of them are just people trying to jerk off other people to try and become friends. Who the fuck cares? Like, who cares? Do what you want to do in life and you'll feel ecstatic. I feel ecstatic in life and it doesn't really matter what happens. Do you sort of get it? I can sit there and pretend like, if I had the money, if I had the cars, if I had the houses, if I had the girls, if I had the success, if I had this, if I had that, oh, wouldn't I be happy? Like, why not just cut out the middleman and find out what makes you happy and just do that? And then you're happy every day. Like, the end of life is fucking death. Who the fuck cares about the money? Who the fuck cares about the houses? We don't get out of here alive. Do you sort of get it? If I want to eat good food, why wouldn't I learn how to cook good food? Cut out the middleman of needing to go to expensive restaurants. I don't have time for that because you waste all your time trying to get the money so that you can go and waste it on bullshit shit to make yourself feel better. Do you know what I mean? It's a funny thing. I see these people everywhere. They make me laugh because they all seek the exact same thing, yet they're afraid to look at it. Everyone knows what they want to do in life. Everyone knows what makes them happy in life, yet they're afraid to admit it because they need to first get the money before they're allowed to do what they want in life. I used to believe this too. That's why I started my business as a consultant. Do you sort of get it? And then I got sick of all people's bullshit excuses why they couldn't do the work to get the results that they wanted. I got sick of all the bullshit excuses and all the ego and the narcissism about how great people are and this, that, and the other. Like, it's all just bullshit. Like, everything is simple and easy, yet everyone overcomplicates it because they think it makes them special. What makes you special is what you truly enjoy in life. Do you sort of get it? What makes you unique is what you enjoy in life. Like changing the font and the color, posting a certain amount of videos a day or a week. Do you know what I mean? Using specific language isn't a competitive advantage. Who you are is your competitive advantage. Imitation is not a competitive advantage. Do you sort of get it? Everyone is going around imitating everyone else that they deem to be successful, thinking that they're unique. Do you sort of get it? That's why I don't care. If people show up, if people watch it, I don't give a fuck because I do it how I do it and I don't care. If you try and make me care that I need to copy someone else, you're likely going to lose your two front teeth because I don't want to do that. If you make me do that, I'm going to want to fight you. Do you sort of get it? Like, if I'm allowed to do whatever the fuck I want to do, I'm good. If I have to copy other people and imitate other people so that I may be successful, I would rather go and jump off a 30-story building knowing that I cannot fly. Do you sort of get it? Like, it's so funny and pathetic because all these experts in life only know imitation. They're experts in imitation, not trending, not social media, not marketing, not sales, not this, not that. They're experts in imitation because that's how people do it. They see someone who got what they think they want, so they imitate it. Do you know what I mean? Why do you think mental illness is so rampant at the moment? Why do you think depression and anxiety are so high? Why do you think social interactions are so like exhausting and cause high levels of anxiety and social anxiety is so high? Because everyone is out there imitating everyone else, pretending to be other people. So when they're around other people, they have to pretend to be just like them. It's a funny thing because I used to live this way. That's why I can see straight through you. Do you know what I mean? It's so funny. Like, if you want to be a hyper productive person in life, like, like you want to outperform other people, do what you want in life. Naturally, you will. If you want to struggle in your life with motivation and achieving goals, by all means, imitate and copy other people because it makes me laugh. Because you're looking for the gold in life and it's sitting right in front of you, yet you keep calling it fool's gold. You sort of get it? You keep pretending like it's dirt and acting like these shiny glass stones are truly diamonds. A life based in illusions is a glass stone that you're pretending is a diamond. That's why I laugh so much. It makes me so, like, I just find it so ironic that, like, take for example, Andrew Tate and all that bullshit about like I've got a Bugatti, no one else can have a Bugatti. Who the fuck wants a Bugatti? Like, yeah, if you love cars and you want to spend $3 million on a car that goes like I don't know, 400, 500 Ks an hour, like by all means, like that would be a fucking exciting ride. But it's like, do you honestly believe that that car makes you better than me? By all means, let's go out into the wilderness. Let's go out into combat, into war. Do you know what I mean? Where it's only like survival. That's what makes people better than people. If you're able to survive, like, do you sort of get it? Like, that's what makes us all better than each other is our ability to survive. Why? Because it's ingrained in us our biology that survival of the fittest means Darwinism means that those who survive and don't die are the better ones. In truth, there is no better. Who cares? Do you sort of get it? Like nothing makes you better than someone else. Why? Because there's always going to be someone bigger than you. There's always going to be someone badder than you. You can be the best fighter in the world. All it takes is one bullet and you're gone. Do you sort of get it? Like if people don't play the game by your rules that you're creating that make you artificially better than other people, like it doesn't mean anything. Do you know what I mean? Just to the same. What happens if you bring a bus to a gunfight and you just run that person over? Like, are you better than them? Like, do you sort of get it? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's all arbitrary. Like this whole competition and things like that. Like, it's sort of like it's like the UFC and like sport fighting. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy it, but like I think it's the stupidest sport out there. Why? Because you've got rules. Like there are no rules in fighting, there are no rules in survival, there are no rules in combat. Do you sort of get it? Like when we try and have combat based off rules, it becomes artificial. It's not real. So like all these UFC fighters, like they're great at fighting within the confines of the rules. But many of them would be far better or far worse outside the confines of those rules. Do you know what I mean? Where there is no time of attack, where you don't know where the enemy is. Do you sort of get it? Like, if you don't know where your opponent is and when they're going to attack, that makes it far more difficult for you to prepare for the fighting. If you don't even know who your opponent is, if you don't know how many of your opponents there may be. Do you know what I mean? Like these artificial constructs are so like we treat them as if they're real, but they're actually false. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like in combat, there's one thing, survive. That's it. Doesn't matter how technical you are, doesn't matter this or that. One side, their whole goal, well, both sides' goal is to survive and kill. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like there is no there's no artificial rules of you have to be here, you have to be there. You know what I mean? You have to be exactly the same way. Like it's this whole equality thing. There is no equality in life. We are all equal in the fact that we all can be, do, and have whatever we want in life. But it doesn't mean that, you know, I don't have to work harder than you to get there. It doesn't mean that you don't have to work harder than me to get there. Maybe it's easier for you to get what you want. A funny thing in life is when you do what you want in life, it becomes easier to outcompete and outperform other people because naturally doing more feels like doing less. Like it's a funny thing. It's sort of like if you went and you had the most amazing meal, like exactly the meal that tastes 100% the most delicious thing to you. Do you think it's difficult to eat? Now, have that same meal as the most disgusting thing you could imagine eating. How difficult is it to eat that meal? Do you know what I mean? I can eat far more of what I truly enjoy in life than I can eat of what I think is being disgusting. Like, do you sort of get it? Like, yeah, I can force myself to eat what I think is being disgusting, but at a certain point, I'm going to vomit. At a certain point, I'm going to feel sick, feel disgusting. Do you sort of get it? It's sort of like if you were eating it, if one person is eating a hamburger and the other person is eating straight lard, like straight fat. Like, who do you think is going to be able to eat more? The person eating hamburgers or the person eating straight fat? Like potentially, maybe there's people out there who love the taste of fat. I think it would be the most vile thing to eat because of like, especially if it's cold fat with that gritty, sort of grainy texture and that greasy, like resin that's left in your mouth. Like, that would be wild. Do you know what I mean? So it's an important thing to understand. Whatever you want in life, like truly, that you truly enjoy without all the bullshit excuses and the bullshit illusions about what you think you want, as soon as you realize that and start going towards it, life becomes easier. Doing more becomes easier. Being hyper productive becomes effortless. Why? Because we naturally move towards what we want in life. So we understand, especially getting back to curating the language patterns and the narratives in life, that the language patterns are based off truth. What truly makes me happy in life, because they're triggers. Do you sort of get it? The language is a trigger. How do I want to feel? And then I create the language that triggers that feeling through the associated meaning, i.e., if I tell myself I love everything and I like everything, and I keep telling myself how much I love things, I can condition myself to enjoy them. But unless it aligns with what I truly want in life, no matter how much I enjoy things, it will. So, an easy way to see this is like imagine eating the most delicious chocolate cake, right? Now, imagine eating the most delicious chocolate cake, and it's the only thing you eat for the rest of your life. Do you sort of get it? After a day or two, it would make you feel revolting because it's not what you truly want in life. Like what we truly crave is protein, plant fiber, you know, all these different things, carbohydrates like sugars, salts, different minerals, you know, like that's the thing. Like I can try and convince myself that eating the chocolate cake is giving me all the nutrients that I'm craving, but it's not true. So we understand that with what we are speaking, so the language we're using. And the language is associated to the activity because that's what we're trying to use the language to trigger the behavioral outcome or the action. Do you sort of get it? Because we're using the language and triggering the meaning, the associated meaning. So is this positive? Is this negative? Does this make me feel good? Is this what I want in life? And then we're using that to trigger the emotional state, which releases the biochemical response, which triggers and indicates the behavior. Do you sort of get it? So if I want to be nicer or kinder to people, if I'm kinder and nicer to myself, and I'm in an extremely exuberant and happy mood, am I not going to take actions that are positive for other people? Am I not going to be kinder? Do you sort of get it? All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this one. And just remember, life can either be full of illusions or it can be crystal clear with truth. So I can either tell myself all the things I need to be happy, or I can just ask myself what makes me happy and do that. That's the funny thing. Anything else, and I'm just talking shit to myself. So that's the important thing. Realize what you want in life, realize what makes you happy, and just do it without the bullshit, i.e., this makes you hyper productive in comparison to people trying to convince themselves to take action towards what they don't want because they're trying to fight themselves the whole way. And when we battle ourselves, it's a very hard fight. Why? Because we're equally matched. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Thanks so much. Bye.